It be the same old
yeah. We live and direct. Who-Bangin Sports. I'm right here with my man Big Ragoo. We already pottying.
What's happening, people?
We're gonna
hit it up.
That's what's up.
All right.
That's what's up, man. Thanks for joining me, Big Ragoo, man. Right here, Who-Bangin Sports. I'm DJ Big Boss. Question and answer, man. The chat is already watching, man. We already got people on here watching us this morning. They want to know about the Big Ragoo. Tell us about yourself, Big Ragoo. Where you was born at?
I was born in a little town called Bronx, New York.
The boogie down Bronx back there. What you know some of those famous KRS-One and all them? You ran with them?
Yeah, well, in my old neighborhood, it wasn't too far away where the rap game started. You know, the hip hop back in the mid '70s. So yeah, I was a little I was basically a teenager back in those days, probably like 12, 13 years old when that was hitting up.
So would you consider yourself one of the original B-boys?
Yeah, I could say so. Before it was more like an underground thing, you know, when I was growing up, and then it became mainstream, you know, when it hit the scene with the Sugar Hill Gang back in the Rapper's Delight.
So you was a pop locker back then, getting your pop lock on?
Yeah, you could say so.
That's what's up, man. Yo, where you at now though? You out in Florida, right? What part of Florida you at?
Yeah, I'm about an hour north of Orlando, a little sleepy town called Ocala. Okay, it's a horse country up here. They got about 400 horse farms, a lot of acreage. You know, it's a quiet town. Probably got about 300,000 people. I mean, it's not quiet in a sense where, you know, it's a little, not a suburb of Orlando, but it's about 30 minutes south of the University of Florida, and it's a nice place to live. Real nice area in Florida.
That's what's up, man. How long you been out there in that area? You been in Florida just in that area, or you been in different parts of Florida?
Yeah, no, I've been here. You know, I came down here like when I was around 18, and it's been close almost 40 years now. I'm down here, long time.
Oh yeah, you full-blooded Florida now.
Yeah, I'm a native. They consider native now, so I still got my roots in New York, but yeah, I gotta say I'm a Florida native.
That's what's up, man. So I like to know, especially since we all use different handles and stuff. Where'd you get the name Big Ragoo? Is that what they call you around the house, or where'd you?
Oh yeah, when I was I played baseball when I was young, you know, and so you know my last name has got the letters Rago. So they said, you know what? And they used to call me Pasta. They used to call me Pasta Man, and then they said, no, we're gonna call you Ragoo. So that kind of stuck. So ever since I was like a 12, 13-year-old, that name stuck with me for that long.
So they definitely call you Big Ragoo around the house and at the job and everything.
Oh, yeah, the job and Big D, Big Ragoo. Yeah, so that's it basically. Yeah, so
that's
Big
right.
D, Big Ragoo. Yep.
So y'all heard it here first. So it's okay if you see him in the streets or something, you holler Big Ragoo. What up? That's what's up, man. So give us a little insight on where did you start with capping? How long? I mean, you know, been doing this for a while, huh?
Well, I kind of was like born into it, I would say, because back east, you know, in those days, you know, horse racing was a big thing for the bookies. I want to say, you know, back in the 50s, 60s, you know, a lot of the guys that were taking bets back in those days. I mean, not me because I wasn't born until like the 60s, but anyways, you know, back east, that was a big thing. Like, you know, going to the horse track, you know, checking games out, that kind of thing. But my first wager I ever made, as I was about 9 years old, I went to the track with my dad, and my dad, he wasn't really keen on me gambling, but you know, he used to like to partake in the horses a little bit. So we went to the track, and his friend slipped me $10. He says, pick a number, and I says, I like the 2. And what do you think happened? The 2 won the race. The next thing you know, I got about $30 in my pocket from the 10, and he goes like this, shh, don't tell your dad. So I says, well, what about the next race? So I said, hey, what's place mean? He says, well, place is if the horse comes second. If your horse wins, but if he comes in at least second, you win. So I gave him another $10. I says, put me $10 a place on the 5 horse, and the horse came in second, and I collected about another 20. And next thing you know, I got $50 in my pocket, and that was the beginning of my handicapping.
Wow, you was hooked ever since. And to tell you the truth, my story is I couldn't even pinpoint exactly when I put my first bet. But when I went to the track with my dad all the time, which was like 3, because we lived about 10 minutes from Hollywood Park, so I would go to the track maybe 3, sometimes 4 times a week with my dad, or definitely on the weekends. And a bunch of times, my number's always been 7 at the horse racing. Son, give me a number.
Yeah,
7.
That's a lucky number.
And then for a while it was 2, so it kind of switched up. But the 2, the 7, and the 4 horse, I've always bet those for a long time. And even to this day, like now that I'm like, I do it all the way myself, I have trouble capping double-digit horses in the race.
Yeah, that's right. And and then over the years, I do fancy getting involved with like the 2-year-olds, like right at the end of the year. For those that don't know about horse racing, like a 2-year-old campaign is like in the fall, let's say September, October, November. They start running, and these horses, when they start running as 2-year-olds, then you kind of look at these horses and you kind of pick out like the cream of the crop to be favored to run in the Kentucky Derby once January comes. Then every first Saturday in May, they run the Kentucky Derby. Then everybody in the country's got an opinion on the horse then. You know what I mean? So, and that's a fun time of the year to be involved with horses too. The Triple Crown races are nice, and my favorite time is the Breeders' Cup. I mean, I've had some pretty good scores betting Breeders' Cup races. Like a couple years back in Vegas, I bet $24 on 4 numbers, and it paid me like 12 grand. So that wasn't too shabby.
Yeah, that's the good part about horse racing. It doesn't take a lot of money to make a lot of money. You just got to have your numbers crunched down. I always tell people, even the church and the nuns be out there at the horse racing putting the bets in. It's not a big sin.
They're either at the track or they're playing bingo somewhere.
They be at the track too. Like Friday, Hollywood Park used to have a Friday night racing. You'll see the nuns and the priests up there betting, with the church's money.
Oh, yeah.
But so don't look bad at yourself for trying to get a little wealth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right. And you have fun doing it, right? It's a good time, actually. It really is. If no one's ever been to a track, I encourage you to go because you'd have a good time.
I'm gonna run a quick roll call on who's in the chat right now, just in case you didn't see. We got my man Nasty Nate in there. We got Danielle Ragoo in there. We got Jonathan Lutheran. We got who else is in? My man Flipper 13's in here. We got Smooth Goodwin. Joe Lacari just pulled up on us, man. We got a nice group in here, man. I'm gonna ask you a few questions some more, and then we're gonna go into some games and take some
shoot away.
Chat. But I'm pretty sure all my people in the chat, and I always notice it because all your videos come on the Low Bag Show, and I pay attention to what you be doing. I follow you on Twitter. But one of the questions I know everybody gotta be asking is, what's up with all the sports memorabilia in the background? You got some really nice stuff back there.
Oh yeah. Well, that goes back to my heritage in a way, because I got, let me see if I can point out. Okay, naturally you see the Sopranos up in the corner, right? So that's just a show that I like. It's not nothing I'm hating on, but I just love the Sopranos. That's just one of my all-time favorite shows. And then right beneath that, I got some Yankee memorabilia. I got my favorite players up there. I got my current player, which is Judge. I got my all-time favorite player, which is Jeter. And of course, you're not a Yankee fan if you don't love Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. You know what I'm saying? So without those two, they're like the franchise. And then over on the other side, I got some horse stuff. I got Seattle Slew, which is my favorite horse of all time. And I got Pharaoh, and then I got a big poster of Secretariat. He's a Triple Crown winner. And actually that Secretariat poster is autographed to my wife when she was a kid, because her dad used to go to the track, and Ron Turcott signed that poster. It's got a picture of all the 3 races he won. And then I got Rocky Marciano, and then I got Muhammad Ali on top, and then I got a little picture of Tyson, which you probably can't see, who's in back of me. And then I got another picture over here of the Godfather on the other wall. You can't see that because that's out of the screen, but it's just some heritage, some stuff, growing up as a kid, some stuff I like.
That's what's up, man.
I got some autographs.
I wanted to
got a little picture here. Go ahead, brother.
I wanted to point out the fact for some of the people that don't know much about horse racing that the Seattle Slew, the Secretarian, and the other one over there, those are really good bloodlines. When you get deep into studying horses, you have to go by their bloodlines. And if you see anything that leads up to some of those horses, Big Ragoo just named right there, you got a nice champion horse. You might want to lay a little something on it, right, Ragoo? Am I right or wrong?
Absolutely, absolutely. Bloodlines is where it's at in the horse racing. You know what I mean? There's some great ones. I mean, if you look at what come out of Seattle Slew, there's a horse called AP and AP championed a lot of horses. You know, if you go back and look at the bloodlines, there's a ton of horses, stakes winners and Grade 1 winners come out of that horse. So, absolutely.
There we go. We got to give the people a little homework right there, a little something they can go Google up.
Yeah. Yeah, and they can always check me out. And if you want to check me out on Twitter, you know, it's Big Ragoo 62 on Twitter. And you know, during the big horse racing events, you know, I'll always put my plays up on there. So if anybody wants to follow me, that's a good follow to check out horse racing. And check out my Twitter site. Anytime on a Saturday when there's a big race going, I'll definitely put the horses I like up there for you.
Yeah, I've been following you on some of those. You were smashing some of those races. I think even that Breeders' Cup this year, you were smashing the Breeders' Cup too. But yeah, if you're
the first day, I hit the first 4 races, 4 in a row at Breeders' Cup that Friday. So I made a little bit of money that day. Saturday I didn't do too good, but Friday I made enough money on Friday to cover anything I had to play on Saturday.
That's the way. That's
how it goes in horse racing. Yeah, you know, I mean, you play the horses, so you know how it goes.
Exactly. So I got to ask you, like I'm gonna ask every one of my interviewers right now. So you know, I'm fresh off the private jet, like you have on your picture on Twitter. I'm off the private jet. I land in your town right now, man. It's been a long flight. I'm hungry. I want to eat something that represents the area that I'm at. What we gonna eat, Big Ragoo?
There's only one place to eat in Ocala. It's called Christina's Deli. It's my cousin's place. He's an old school throwback to New York deli style. Everything's made fresh daily. I mean, you get the best dishes. You get some chicken parm. You get some good Italian cooking. You get some nice cold cuts. I mean, it's the place to go. Definitely. I mean, I'm always yelling at him because he doesn't open for dinners. He's only open for lunch. So if you get in the afternoon early, you can check him out. If you don't get there at lunchtime, then there's a little place we go to. It's called Mojo's. It's kind of like a New Orleans, you know, soul food vibe. They got some pretty good eats there too. They got 2 or 3 places. So Mojo's is a good place, but always check out my cousin's place, Christina's. That's the best place to eat.
Christina's in Florida.
Yeah.
Go ahead and Yelp that.
Right.
Go drool at the pictures that's on there. I love chicken parmesan. They got a good chicken parmesan sandwich right there.
And he makes a mean, even though he's not from Philadelphia, he makes a mean Philly steak sandwich too.
Ooh, give me the chicken parmesan, man. I'll take the chicken parmesan. But let's hey,
listen, they don't call me Big Ragoo because I didn't eat, you know, I ate a few of them in my day. So that's why, you know, I got the little added weight on me, but it's all good stuff. There's no junk in here. It's all good stuff.
That's what's up right there. That's what's up. But let's get a little deeper into capping, man. I like to enlighten people on betting strategies, edges, and you know the thought process that a capper like yourself goes through when you're looking at the game. So let's say it's the morning time, you pull out the football card for the day, right? Because football that's one of your main sports you cap, right?
Yeah, correct. Football. I'm all about football during football season. Like I say, the basketball not too much, but I'll get into a little bit of college basketball when football is done, and mainly football during football season. I'm totally focused on football, so more or less, you know, I'm looking. So like if it's a Saturday or a Sunday morning, or even before that, like Monday comes out. Once the Monday night game's over, I start looking at the Tuesday numbers. You know, start looking at opening lines, see if there's any value built into some of those numbers. You know, start capping, start looking. Then when Thursdays come, you know, I start looking at the injuries. And because that's when they come out with the injury report. So if I have an idea on a game that I like, then I'm going to make sure that, you know, all the numbers are lined up as far as, you know, when you're talking about injuries, like we talked about last night, you know, there's a few games we hit on like that Tyreek Hill was one. I was like, well, what's his status? So even though I like the other team, but just to shore up my information, I'll start looking at opening lines on Tuesday after the Monday night game. Then I'll start hitting the injuries pretty hard on Thursday, and I kind of got an idea what I like more or less. And then I'll start. And to be a good handicapper, you really have to open your ears up to a lot of different resources and your eyes too. But in other words, don't lock yourself into a certain game. You say, oh, I like that on a Tuesday, because if you bet a game on a Tuesday, when it comes Sunday, a lot of information could happen in between then. So, I mean, if something that you really locked into and you think that the line is going to move up in your favor, then you might want to wait. But if you think the public and some of the sharp money's coming, you want to bet that early if everything checks out. So look for early opening numbers to take advantage of, and then also look at late numbers to work in your favor too.
So would you say that how big are you on stats? Like, do you have a motto? Do you have a
okay. From the stats department, I mean, there's a lot of analytics that goes in nowadays. You've got all kinds of numbers. There's all kinds of websites you can get info from, which, if anybody wants that, if you want the sites I use, I'll be happy to post them later on. But for the most part, I'm kind of an old school guy, so I'm not a big analytics type guy. I'm more of a spot player, meaning that, like for certain games that's set up for certain opportunities, when they line up, I like playing them. Like there's a few spot plays this week that one came up in the conversation last night was, what did I think about the 49er game with Chicago coming out to the West Coast playing the 49ers? Well, the 49ers, they've been playing some loose football of late, right? So if you just crunch numbers, maybe the numbers might not show that. So, but if you look at the game itself, like Chicago's already got first place sewn up. They got to travel to the West Coast. They got to play the 49ers. 49ers are playing decent football right now. And it could be a tricky spot for the Bears. Do the Bears want to win the game? Yes, they want to win. But at the same time, San Fran, they're going to play a loose style of football, and it's not necessary for the Bears to win that game. So they're not going to rest starters, but, you got to weigh everything out. So you just can't look at – if you looked at it on paper from a math standpoint, anybody can handicap a game, but you got to look at the variables to throw the whole thing together. So I do like the stats. Trends is another thing. Like you could say this team is like 7-1 at home on a Monday night after they score 40 points, You can't always take trends. Now, if trends line up with what you're capping, then that's more the better, but you can't cap a game just on a trend.
Yeah, I'm over here laughing at the chat, man. They ready to talk games and picks and stuff. But before we get that, I want to make sure we get a few things. I got two more good questions for you, man.
Sure.
One is I run with a lot of younger cappers and stuff, and they started with online gaming and stuff like that. It's way more difficult to bet prior to that. I'm old school like yourself, and I try to picture them. I try to explain to them how much information, how much website, how much more extra stuff is available to you now that it wasn't like before. The market was about call in, send me $50, and I'll give you the hottest pick. You couldn't just access a lot of the information. Can you give them a little look at what it was like before all the internet and how they can benefit now and how they should benefit on all the information that's available now?
Yeah, well, back in the olden days, like you used to have to pick up a newspaper and the line would come out in the paper and you had no idea what was going on in Las Vegas as far as, putting numbers on games and that kind of stuff. All you did was basically look in your local paper and you'd read like articles that somebody wrote on a Tuesday that might have nothing to do with what was going on a Friday. You know what I mean? So basically the information back in the older days, probably even going back to like the mid 80s for that matter, because the internet's only been around since middle part of 80. So, but information moved a lot slower. But now it's just like anything like you see today on Facebook or Twitter. If LeBron James is in the store buying a can of pork and beans, somebody knows about that like the minute he purchased it. Or if something happens, if a guy's out in the let's say one of the ball players is out in the bar the night before out drinking and he's got a couple girls on his arm. Somebody's taking a picture, and before he gets back to the hotel room, it's posted all over the place. So information moves so fast now, and that's why the numbers, when you're betting against the numbers, see, because you're not betting the game, you're betting a number per se, right? Because when you're trying to beat that number, so if you got a 4 hanging on a game per se, years ago that 4 would stick out there. So I like it. Now there's so much information that you're trying to beat that number. Back in the older days, you didn't have the information to do that with. Now, and the lines are sharper today too. So that's the thing. So there's so much money going back and forth, and so many different angles to play. Like in the olden days, the only way you can bet a team was you can bet against the number. You can bet the team to win, cover the spread. Now you can bet like if the running back's going to have over 40 yards, how many incomplete passes will he throw? There's so many different angles. So there's so much information, and that's where these stats come into play, because if you you bet team totals, you can bet over and unders based on, team performances. There's just so many different angles to play, and that's where you can find soft numbers. If you really do your homework, if you're a stats guy and an analytical guy, you can go in there and you can really find some good value on individual numbers based on team performances.
That's what's up, man. My man Flipper said the LA Herald Examiner. Yeah, I remember those too. Had to pick up that newspaper and read back in the day, man, if you wanted to be involved with it.
Some of the old cats out there, they'll know. And some of these new guys, these whippersnappers, I got to give them credit because, a lot of these young guys, they're pretty sharp on what they do. And, and a lot of, believe it or not, a lot of these teams, that these guys are really good with analytics. They'll hire them on, you can get a job with an NFL team if you're really sharp with numbers, because, a lot of these GMs and stuff, they're looking for guys that can crunch these numbers. That's why you're seeing these younger guys take over these teams, as far as a managerial standpoint. So you got a lot of younger guys getting involved with the analytical side of things.
Man, that leads me right into my next question too. And this is my final question before I take some questions from some people in the chat. But just for, let's say, hypothetically, I'm 25 years old. I'm interested in becoming, I just got a little lump sum of money. I got a nice bankroll. Let's say I got 5G bankroll to invest, and I want to become a sports capper. I'm tired of working these jobs and stuff. I want to make some good money and have some good times and stuff. I'm 25 years old. I'm getting ready to get into this. Give me a little advice, man. I'm coming to Big Ragoo, man. Say, hey, Big Ragoo, man, I really like what you're doing. I like your videos. I like everything you're doing. I've trailed you a couple times, made some money. I want to get serious about this. I got 5,000 for a bankroll. What do you suggest?
All right. Well, first of all, when you gamble on, or when you like people call it sports investing, but it's technically still gambling. But what you have to do is you have to realize that whatever your bankroll is, first and foremost, it should be for entertainment purposes only, because not too many people can make a living at sports gambling. So that's rule number one. So whatever you have for a bankroll that's set aside for gambling, for betting on sports, it should be for money that you're not going to bet the house rent on. So you don't want to. It should be just for something that it's just like taking your money and putting it like in the stock market. You want to use it for like a long-term investment, that's fine. So your money management is going to be paramount when it comes to sports gambling. So what, in my theory of doing playing games is you always want to play the same amount on each game, period. That's a rule I try to live by. Do I always do it? No, I could be honest with you. But for the same time, if whatever your bankroll is, whether it's $100, $1,000, $100,000, you don't want to wager more than like 2% of your bankroll on any game. So if you got $1,000 sitting there, so realistically your bankroll, you should be playing $20 a game, and then parlays and teasers, they say those are sucker bets. So I mean, if you play with house money and you want to have a good time a little bit, then you could take a shot with the parlays. But to get back to your original question, what should you do with that money that you have sitting there? Okay, so you got to treat that money like it's a business. So you have to be very disciplined. You have to handicap a certain number of games per week. You can't play every game that's out there on the board, because it's like sitting down at the blackjack table. If you sit down at the blackjack table for like 5 hours and you bet the same amount of money on each hand, eventually the house is going to get a portion of your money. You're not going to get all of it, but they're going to get, if you bet the same every hand, they're going to get a little bit at a time. So they're going to take their, 2% there, 3% there. The same thing happens in sports gambling. If you're a 50% handicapper, so in order to make money betting sports on betting against the line, you have to win like 53% of your plays. Then you'll have a slight edge. Okay, so if you can hit, like, you hear these guys coming online saying they're hitting like 70%, 72%, 75%. There's no way in the world that they're doing that long term. Even the professional gamblers, and I know some professional gamblers in Las Vegas, these guys are ecstatic to hit like 56%, 57%. That's because of the amount of money they're betting, right? If they're betting more, they're raking in a few more dollars. But you got to play the percentages with your bankroll. So you got to limit your plays, play something that's a quality play, and bet the same each game, and try to eliminate any kind of exotic bets like parlays and teasers. Those are not good strategy bets for long term. They're good once in a while to fire off, but play a small percentage of your bankroll, play the same amount, and then if you win more games than you lose, you're going to make money. As simple as that. If you don't win the games, you're not going to make the money. If you win the games, you'll make money. But it's all about money management and discipline.
And that's real talk coming from Big Ragoo right here on Who-Bangin Sports TV, man. That was a great answer to that, man. I'm 25 years old. I'm ready to go now.
Right on.
That's what's up. So if we got any questions from the chat, man, y'all go ahead and put the questions up there for Big Ragoo. Everybody want to get into these picks, though, man. So we was talking about going over the rest of the games that they got going on right now in college football games. What you got going on for today? You want to go through them one by one, or you just want to put
you shout them out, and then we'll see what we come up with.
Because I already did a little capping myself right here, just like you told me. You told me to be prepared today, so I had to come prepared. Big Ragoo, right on. Prepared. When the big bro say get your stuff together, you got to get your stuff together. That's what's up. But we got a shot at the Armed Forces game. I don't think it went off yet, but that's Houston versus Army in this game.
Yeah.
And let me see what the line is looking like. Army's -6.5. The total is 55.5. What's your play on
that? I like the under in that game because I bet Army is a grinded out type of team. They run like 75% of their plays are going to be running plays. They're not a big heavy deep ball type play. The thing to look at in this particular game also is, and I think this will accentuate the run for Army a little bit more, because Houston's two top defensive players are out. They're not playing this game. They're probably NFL draft ready. Actually, Houston had the best defensive end in the country, so he's sitting this game out. So I think it's going to be a real run-heavy type game, and I look for Army to probably come out on top. I mean, 6.5, 7 points is a pretty deep number, especially in a running style type game. So I like Army to kind of grind this one out. So I would lean Army, but I would definitely bet the under on this game.
Okay, well, I did a little research on this one too, and I've been getting bit with these under plays that look good at the beginning of these bowl games, and they actually cash in the first half, but they don't cover for the game because, the players get unfocused. All types of stuff happens in the bowl game. Bowl games are really tricky to bet. You never know the emotion or what's going on with the team. Like my man Big Ragoo just blessed y'all with all that injury report stuff that's going on. But I concur on the under there, but I'm going to take the under on the first half. I also went as far as to look at the AAC versus the Independents, and which you can't really do a conference comparison with the Independents because Notre Dame kind of taints everything that's in there because all the rest of them not that good. Yeah. But AAC hedges all-time 12-23 over the Independents, and this Army team, they did a really good job this year playing defense. They had a lot of people come to them. They did a lot of road games, but one thing they do is play good defense. And teams like that in a bowl game, that's going to be the strategy from the beginning of the game. Time possession and the running game and controlling all those aspects of the game, playing good defense. So first half, I like the under in this Army game all the way. Anything else on this game, Big Ragoo?
No, that's a good point you said about the first halves, because usually the first halves, there's a lot of, I call it a lot of energy, a lot of adrenaline flowing. So, they try to execute their game plan. And, then that's when the halftime adjustments come in. So, Yeah, I agree with you. You know, that was a point like when I capped the Navy Army game, the last game of the year. You know, I capped the over in that game, and I was dead wrong about that. But I think that was more out of respect than anything. They were going to win the football game, but they weren't going to try to run up the score. But then again, certain games you can throw all the rule books, you know, throw all the stats out the window, and that was one of those games. But yeah, that's Army's defense is pretty good. Like I think one of the stats was they had like the best defense on third down in the country. You know, Army did so. And then at that time, you know, I'm not sure about Houston's offense, to be honest with you, but I know the Army's defense is pretty good. I know Houston's defense is pretty good. So, yeah, first half under, I think, is a good play for sure.
That's what's up. And my man Nolly Lowe's is on that with us too. My man Capper John just joined us. And, you know, my man Steve Profit stopped in with us right now.
Oh, yeah.
And we also got Nasty Nate. You know, we got a lot of people up in there hollering, hanging out with us right now. But the next game after that, we going to the Dollar General Bowl. What a name for a bowl, huh? Dollar General Bowl.
Yeah, it should cost $1 to get in it.
So that's the Dollar General Bowl, Buffalo versus Troy. This is just like the game that went on earlier today, Wake Forest and Memphis. Just two teams that, to me, showed potential at one time, and then as soon as you thought that they were this, then they failed you on this side, just back and forth with those two teams. But I still kept it out. You got any words on that one?
No, you know what? As soon as I looked at that ball, I skipped right over it, to be honest with you. I know Buffalo was one of the top teams in their conference too, you know, and I know they had a lot of decent games that they played. Troy, you know, I'd be honest with you, I didn't really look into this game a whole lot.
Well, I'll take a good look at it. It actually fits one of my mottos that's been working for me for the year, and that's over in MAC games. And it's crazy because I looked even deeper into it, and it really looks like an under game. And I did the same thing on the last MAC game that they played, that Ohio game, and it looked really good for the under. I think it even went under first half, but then they just went over in the second half. So this one fits my motto. 50 is a nice number. That means I'm expecting at least 3 touchdowns from each team, and then, you know, I got to sweat the rest out. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna go with the over in that one. I really like that overplay in the Buffalo trade. I guess I put $1 on it since it's the Dollar General Bowl. But yeah, so last but not least for today, I believe we got the Hawaii Bowl. We got Hawaii.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tricky game there.
Oh man, this is Mountain West where I do it the best.
No, that's right up your alley. I was gonna say, anybody listen to this podcast today, if you want Mountain West info, you're looking at the guy right on the screen in front of me. He is the man when it comes to Mountain West, without a doubt. So it's all on you. But you go ahead and give your take, and I'll give my little 2 cents worth when you get done.
Okay, so they're coming over to the island for this one. You know, this is a home game, bowl game for Hawaii. There's nothing to do in Hawaii right now. Everybody's going to be there. Everybody's going to show up. The players, they went through a downward spiral. This is a JUCO team. They had 5 of their recruits that jumped out on them, and then they brought in these 5 junior college players, and they started off really good at the beginning of the season, but then in the middle of the season, they kind of fell off. And, just kind of whatever the few games and, but they ended up in the bowl because they had a good beginning of the season. So when you look at a JUCO player, you got to say, okay, this guy graduated high school. He made a decision to go to a junior college, not, in his high school career, he probably had expectations to go in Division I, but he ended up at a junior college. So this guy has a different mindset. He had a couple girlfriends. He might have bought his first car, all that kind of stuff when you're dealing with a JUCO player. So let's say you're a JUCO player, you started off good and everything worked. Middle of the season, your girlfriend's nagging you, you're missing this, you're missing that, you're privileged and all this kind of stuff. So you start playing a little down. And then, during the holiday time, school's up, it's nothing to do on the island, and we got this game to play. You know what I'm saying? So I think these guys going to really jump up, get excited, just like, an older cat would. Like, hey, ain't nothing to do today. Let's ball out. So not to say that I like Hawaii in this game because I don't really know too much about Louisiana Tech. I think I watched them like 2 times, a little bit, had a couple plays, with them on some other stuff. But in the Mountain West versus Conference USA record, Mountain West is 37-27. Mountain West just a way better conference this year. The competition level and everything. They're actually 2-0 so far in bowl games, all of the Mountain West teams. And I think Hawaii might get this win here, but I like the over even better because these two teams do have a history in this game. And the history, they both can put up points on each other. So nobody's going to come down and lock Hawaii down at home. Hawaii will score. They'll cover the 60 points by themselves if they can. But I say Louisiana comes out, scores about 3 touchdowns and a field goal, and Hawaii does the rest and a good celebration today. So I like the over 60.5 in the Hawaii game. What you think about that, Big Ragoo?
I like your way of thinking on the total. What's the number on that game? Is it like 1 or something like that?
It's Louisiana Tech minus 1.5.
Yeah, what did that number open up?
Ooh,
I think Hawaii was a small favorite.
I definitely got to go to SPR for that.
Well, here, while you're doing that, I'll give you my 2 cents.
Oh yeah.
I think Hawaii to me kind of reminds me of USF a little bit. I know they're not the same team, but like USF, they started out 7-0. And they lost their last 5 bowl games last 5 regular season games going into the bowl. So, I mean, they kind of back then. And what was Hawaii's last couple games? Did they win or lose their last few games?
I could bring that up real quick. Let me see right here. Hawaii. So they beat San Diego State. They beat UNLV, so they went on a 4-game losing streak, and then they started winning again towards the end of the season. And both of those games were way over 60.
Yeah, my normal thinking on games in Hawaii, if teams that are coming into Hawaii that have never been there before, they want to check things out on the island. They want to have a little fun, and that maybe there is a lack of focus per se for the visiting team in most cases.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when Hawaii comes to the mainland, it's a little different story for them also. But when they're playing at home, I usually tend to lean to Hawaii because that's what we call the degenerate game. It's like the last game on the board, and somebody wants to play a game, they look at the Hawaii game to try to make up some ground per se. Remember what I was telling you about the money management? That's don't bet Hawaii at 12 o'clock at night if you're trying to get out. That's but for the most part, I mean, they should have a home field advantage built in, like you said. Maybe if they're a little more focused, they can handle Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns offense on the not on the defensive side, but like you said, they'll probably outscore them in the long term. So, that's a long way to travel for the Raging Cajuns. I would lean Hawaii, but I do like the over in that game.
That's what's up right there, man. And yeah, just like you said, it did open Hawaii minus 1.5, and now I see it on SBR as much as Louisiana Tech minus 2. I think all of those, you can shop line movement and all that, but some of those solid factors, like we just both discussed on that one, just supersedes it sometimes. So I still, if I had to put some money on the side, I'd definitely take Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So we got my man Noli Knows. He's on the second half in the Georgia. He dropping dimes right now. If you got your book open, he got the under in the Georgia and Georgia Tech. I take it that's college basketball right there. My man OG Wham is in the building, and we got a couple. Jonathan Lutheran just joined us, and Capra John's up in here. I don't see. Let me see. Jonathan Lutheran say Big D is notorious for walking by a roulette table and dropping cash on one number and winning and walking away. Is this true, Ragoo?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, he's right about that. That's my son-in-law. That's who that is.
What's that, 35-1 or 72-1?
No, 35. 35, yeah.
35.
I play what they call the Jordan. When I walk up to a roulette table, I'll drop like a quarter on 23. Just on a whim. Like I just walk up the table. And one time I did it 3 times while I was in Vegas in like 4 days and it hit. So that's a pretty sweet little hit. It's like $750, almost $800.
Oh, that's
I'll walk up to the table and I'll drop $25 on 23 and I'll start walking away and I'll look and if it looks like somebody will start yelling, I'll come back to the table. If not, I'll just keep walking.
Hey, I'll tell you, some of you old timers, man, y'all got balls of steel, man. I go with my dad to shoot dice sometime in Vegas. This guy, he likes to go and bet Big Red. You know, Big Red is 7 on the next roll. It pays 5 to win, but it's such a janky bet for everybody that got money on the table. It's kind of like flicking off everybody right at the table, man. And he go there and he'll intimidate the shooter and he'll increase his bet size. So he'll walk up, he'll drop 25 on Big Red. If it loses, he'll put 50. If that loses, he'll put 100. And then one time he got up to 5 bets on them and he hit the Big Red, cashed out. We walked up out of there. He broke me off some change too.
Yep.
You got
to hit and run in those games. Those table games, they'll kill you, man. Yep.
The table games will get you, man. I go to Vegas a lot, and I'm definitely fine with just hanging out in the sports book. If I get some house money and we going to hang out, you know, walk around, I'll hop on the crap table, roulette, blackjack, whatever I feel. But for the most part, let me put my hundreds and stuff down and wait an hour or two before I lose it.
Right, there you go. You get more bang for your buck in the sports book, that's for sure.
Yeah,
you get a little more entertainment. You can have some drinks. You can relax. You know. Now, if you got a blowout coming your way, you know, which you never know anymore. But if things are going your way in the book, then you know, like you said, you could roll up to the roulette table, the crack table, and you know, take some of your profits if you want to, and then you know, maybe you could triple up over there.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I bust a Jordan from now on. I don't think I can do 25 though. I might drop 5. I can't do the 25.
Yeah, I get a little I balls up a little bit to do it, you know. And it's funny because I won't do it on. It's the first table that gets my vision. I'll walk up to it and I'll do it and I'll hit. But I got some numbers I play. That's another story on roulette, you know.
So we got a couple NFL games today. We got Washington and Tennessee. It looks like that's going to be at 1:30 out here, 4:30 for y'all. And we also got Baltimore and the Chargers, which we talked about last night. And that comes on at 8:20 out there. That'll be 5:20 out here. You got anything you want to let the people know about those games?
Yeah, I'll give you the Charger game first, even though it's a later game. I really like the Chargers here. There's a lot of people out there that got some knock on Rivers, you know, saying he can't win the big game, which we talked about last night. I like the Chargers sweet in this spot. They got Gordon coming back. Keenan Allen's going to be back. They got a good mojo about them right now at San Diego, and this is a huge game for them. If they win this game and Kansas City loses, then you know that puts them at the top of the heap. They'll have the home field advantage in the playoffs if they win out. So I really like this spot for the Chargers. Ravens, you know, Ravens are no joke. They're coming in. You know, they've got the offense behind Lamar Jackson, and I know Harbaugh's trying to save his job, even though they're a playoff-bound team. So they've got nothing to lose, basically, as far as in playoff position. I think they've got. I take that back. They're like the number 2 wild card right now, so they're playing for a lot also. But this is a key game for both teams. I think San Diego, you know, they got enough defensive firepower to kind of to contain Jackson. You know, so their linebacker plays good. The defensive end lines, you know, defensive guys. You got Boza. I think if they contain Jackson, it's going to be a long day for Baltimore.
That's what's up, man. And we all concurred on that one last night. That's one of the picks from the Who-Bangin Sports TV is the Chargers today. Got a nice line. I see Pinnacle got it at 3.5. Mostly everybody else got it at 4. But that's
going down. There's a lot of money coming in on Baltimore. There really is. So I'm hoping that line goes to 3 by the time it goes to kickoff. And I'm gonna double up. I just tell you, don't double up on, you know, but it'll be, instead of being a 2% play for me, it'd probably be like a 3% play.
So what'd you think about?
I might put a few more dollars on that one.
What'd you think about the total? It opened up at 45 and it's down to 42.5 right now, pretty much across the board.
Wow, 42.5. Wow. Yeah. See, I mean, you got two pretty good. You know, Baltimore's built around defense. You know, so I mean, depending on what San Diego does with Jackson, you know, that's where the game is going to be. That game is going to be on Lamar Jackson. We know Phillip Rivers, he's going to spread the ball around a little bit. They never run. If you ever notice San Diego, or I keep saying San Diego, LA, they never run play action, which And I mean, it's been working for them, so be it. So they know, they're going to spread the ball around. They're going to run, some option plays, and they're going to drop back and do some bubble screens and stuff like that. And Gordon, I'm really excited to see Gordon get involved in this game. So I hope he rushes for at least 100, 120 yards today. Then if that's the case, if Gordon rushes, has a 100-yard rushing day, I think the over is probably going to be a pretty decent play in this game. Because I think Jackson.
I think the over is nice too. The weather is good out here. Nothing too cold or nothing, it's like in between. So I think that the weather is nice for an over too. I let the line keep sinking in and take the over.
Yeah, but I like the side a lot more than the over. So, but I would lean the over in this one.
That's what's up. So what about this? What is it, Tennessee and Washington game? You got any thoughts on the Tennessee-Washington game?
Yeah. I mean, we didn't talk about this game last night, but I looked at it this morning a little bit, and I know Washington's getting a bunch of points. They're playing Tennessee and then the Redskins. It's like, what is it, 10-10.5 now?
It's 11.5.
11.5. Wow.
11. It's mostly 11 across the board, but you can get a 10.5 at Bovada.
Yeah. Now, Washington's their team is kind of like Dallas. They're built defensively. Their whole team. I mean, they've got a 4-string quarterback going now. Don't forget. So they lost McCoy. And they're down to I would say they're a 4-string quarterback. I want to say. And the funny thing was they played Jacksonville last week and then went to Jacksonville and they beat Jacksonville, which is not saying much because Jacksonville is not that good. But I mean, they gutted that game out against them. And now they got to play Tennessee. Now Mariota, he could either bury you or he can bury himself. He's one of those guys that he's very inconsistent. So you don't know which Mariota you're going to get from week to week. I mean, defensively, they've got 2 pretty good running backs. Defensively, they're a solid unit. So, I mean, I think that's another one. That'd be. I'm not going to say he's a Lamar Jackson type. He could probably throw the ball a little bit better than Jackson can, but I don't think he's as mobile. So that's another game that's going to be one in the trenches, with their defensive end play. If they can contain Mariota and, get some good coverages downfield, it might be a good spot to take the 11.5. I don't think Tennessee's 11.5 points better than Washington.
Yeah,
because they haven't shown me much all year as Tennessee as a team, as a favorite. I wouldn't back Tennessee. If I would lean Washington.
Yeah, that's real talk, man. I would, when we discussed a little bit about it last night, I really like the under in this one, but the line, whenever it hits 37.5 or 38, it's kind of a trap line because 37's it's low enough to say NFL should be scoring a little bit more. It is just for entertainment purposes, but at the same time, some of these teams, they, as it goes that far, it does go that much under. So it's kind of a trap line to me, 37.5. If you're not real confident about it going over, I wouldn't take it for the under.
Yeah,
to be beat.
Well, think about it. If you got a big number like 11.5 and the total's real low, and you got this huge number sitting here, I mean that's basically telling you that they're not expecting a lot of scoring. So to me, when you look at unders, they're not high-scoring games. They're going to be low-scoring games. So you're telling me that one team's going to score most of the points and the other team's going to score about a third of the points. So I don't see that happening in this game. I would lean definitely. I would take the points, the 11.5 points here. I don't, even though as bad as Washington is offensively playing right now, I think their defense will keep them in the games. That's like the Jets. The Jets are the same way. When the Jets play, their defense, all the games they get involved with, except for that early game when they blew Detroit out early in the season. Their games have been the games that they've won. They've been like close games. So, I mean, don't even count Washington out to win the friggin' games. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? But
they sprinkle a little something on the money line. My man, Joe.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Them double-digit numbers they hit. They're outright. They come in.
Yeah, my man Joe Licari says, take a little risk here and tease Washington and the under. That sounds like a good one too.
That might not be a bad play there.
The game says pass all the way to me.
Yeah. That game's got pass written all over it.
Yeah.
But
you want to give the people, man. I know we got stuff to do. It's Saturday. I ain't even put my bets in yet. So got some stuff to do, man. I really appreciate you pulling up on the show with us. I really appreciate. We had a lot of people in the chat, man. I appreciate everybody showing up, asking questions, and all that good stuff, man. But you got any picks for Sunday or anything you want? Any hot ones you want to drop on them?
Yeah, well, the 3 plays I gave out this week at the end of that little video I did, I like Georgia Tech. It's going to be the day after Christmas, I believe, the 26th, right? Yeah. So I like Georgia Tech in the college ranks. Like Georgia Tech, I know that line's moved up. I mean, Paul Johnson, he's leaving. They got some suspensions on Minnesota side. You know, I think they got like 9 kids that are not playing this game. So, I mean, and the funny thing is, the line, there's a lot of sharp money on Minnesota, believe it or not. But I'm going to back Georgia Tech. I think they got enough motivation and enough firepower to get this job done against Minnesota. Minnesota, they've always been a pretty decent underdog team. Not always shy them as a favorite, but I like Georgia Tech in this spot. I think that triple option is going to give them a little bit of a fit with all their players missing also. And then I'm definitely on the Chargers. And then a game I really like a lot is the Seattle Seahawks getting 2.5 points at home against the Chiefs coming in. I think the Chiefs are going to be in for a little bit of surprise in that game.
Yeah, we talked about that extensively last night and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
If you
taking Georgia Tech, Chargers, and the Seahawks. 3-0, baby.
Who-Bangin Sports, you know my man Big Ragoo gonna go 3-0 on Who-Bangin Sports. He always goes 3-0 when he comes out on the new show. So, man, really thanks for sitting down, man. I had a wonderful time. Know a lot more about my man Big Ragoo now. I'm gonna go Google those pictures of the chicken parmesan sandwich from your people's and you know. And if
you come to Central Florida, that's the first place we're going. So whenever I see you, that's where we're gonna hang out.
That's what's up.
When I either come out to Cali or Vegas, you gotta hook me up. Where am I gonna come eat when I come see you?
Oh, okay. You're in LA right here. We got all kinds of variety. You just, we a melting pot. Do you want Mediterranean? Do you want Mexican? Do you want soul food? Whatever you have to give me your flavor, your mood, so I can get you to the right place.
All right. We'll do that. We'll definitely do that.
I guess I talked to all my cappers and my groups and stuff and told them about the Super Bowl in Vegas, man. So definitely we're gonna put a section aside for the low baggers at the Super Bowl in Vegas. So my man Nolly, he watching. My man Flipper, he already out there. We got enough. If it's 10 of us, that's good enough. But definitely trying to hook up for the Super Bowl. We got some time for that one to plan it out. But definitely trying to hook up for the Super Bowl in Vegas. Me, Big Ragoo, Try Wham, Flipper 13, Ski Profit, and a bunch of others. Nolly knows all that gonna be out there, man. Hopefully, and have a good time, man. Have some drinks and make some money.
Looking forward to it.
That's what's up. So we're gonna sign off here. Who-Bangin Sports exclusive questions and answers with my man Big Ragoo. We got some picks out there and everything. Cali to Florida, we connected. Low baggers for life, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the SBR Network, my man Jimmy. Shout out to my man Pete. Shout out to my man Ski Profit, my bro Try Wham. Shout out to all those peoples and all those groups and stuff on Twitter, man. Everybody that follow me and everybody that showed up in the chat today. You got anything else you want to say to him, Big Ragoo?
No, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas because that's coming right up. And, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday with their families, and we hopefully have a blessed new year going into 2019. We all prosper and we all, have good health and good financial, wishes to everybody.
There it is from the OG. Who-Bangin Sports. We out of here, y'all. Y'all have a good evening. Merry Christmas. Peace.